Let's talk about talent and its relationship to creating paintings at a high level. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the role of talent and other factors in mastering the craft of painting.
You know what I hate? I hate key moments in life where someone feels like it's okay to tell you whether or not you have potential. Or feeling like you need someone else's approval in order to pursue what you really love. Because the truth is, I've seen people achieve pretty impressive things from all sorts of different starting places. When I was dancing, I saw the clumsiest dancers in their first year dig in and become the most accomplished of their peers only a year later. And I've seen painters who are already quite advanced peter out and fail to progress for years or give it up entirely. And I think this may come down to a few pretty simple misconceptions about our potential to master something. Those are that it's about talent, it's about a shortcut to success, or grinding out hard work. But like I said, misconceptions. So if it isn't any of those things, what is it about? I've been reading Robert Greene's book Mastery this week while working on this painting, and a lot of what I've read so far in this book has really resonated with me. He reinforces that we often think of mastery as something that is handed to us, either by inborn talent or the privilege to have the secret handed to us by a particular mentor or school. Or perhaps, on the other end of the spectrum, it's simply that the greats decided to be good at something and simply willed themselves to do it. And if we haven't gotten there yet, it's because there's something wrong with our willpower or commitment to our goals. And Greene's alternative suggestion to this really stood out to me. He claims in the book that, one, we all have the innate capacity to achieve mastery because that level of intense focus and prolonged study was an essential part of our evolution as humans and what enabled us to survive 200,000 years ago. And two, the area we achieve mastery in is something inborn in each of us, but it isn't talent, it's obsession. Basically, the things we can lose ourselves in for hours at a time are usually something we first find ourselves obsessing over in childhood. And for anyone listening to this formula and panicking because you don't know if you have those things or you don't know if that obsession is painting, I want to stop you right here. What I thought was so interesting about this wasn't the idea that you can retrace your life steps and figure out what you're destined to do, or that you could confirm that you have the painting aptitude that you hoped that you had. The truth is, I'm not interested in more gatekeeping about who has the chops to become great painters. Instead, I'm interested in what this has to teach us about human focus and dedication, which is applicable to every single person who is excited about painting to the best of their ability. This question of commitment and focus brings to mind an old lesson from my psychology education about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Or put in plain English, what you're going to be inherently excited to practice and learn on a near daily basis in the long term versus the kinds of things you do for external validation or reinforcement. Here are some examples of this in action. Intrinsic motivation feels like something that you are naturally drawn to, while extrinsic motivation is something that you do because it'll help you reach your goals or something that's been thrust upon you by someone else. In my mind, I think about this as, for me, riding horses versus going for a run. For me, no matter what sort of shape I'm in, I am always excited to go to the barn and ride, even if it kicks my butt and I am dripping with sweat after. But running, that is torture. And I could probably force myself to run a little bit to improve my stamina for riding, but it would be something that I would make myself do. And even if I learned to enjoy it, maybe because I'm out in nature, I would still probably resent that I was making myself do it. That to me, would be the bigger force acting on me here. At the end of the day, I would be running for an extrinsic reason, because it means better fitness for riding, not an intrinsic reason, where I find it just inherently something worth looking forward to. That would be intrinsic motivation. So the extrinsic motivation of going out and doing typical workouts in a gym were more about the goal versus actually enjoying the process. Maybe I was hitting the gym because I wanted to look or feel a certain way, not because I just really couldn't wait to pick up a jog or pick up a weight. So taking this back to painting, a painter who is intrinsically motivated to paint is typically going to be more focused on the process and enjoying the act of painting and less attached to the final product. It's not that they don't have goals, but they aren't the kinds of painters who hate sitting down to the easel, but nonetheless expect to make a great work of art. Other common goals along these lines include wanting to paint better because your big goal is to justify building a big studio in your backyard, for instance, or wanting to win a particular award that people will respect you for having earned. So bringing this idea of intrinsic motivation home, the fact is that I've been able to get where I am with my painting and keep going from there is because even though I've had periods of inactivity or burnout, even through those, I'm just really drawn to what I do. I find challenges really interesting, and I have a pretty ingrained belief that one day I'm going to get to whatever destination I have in mind right now for my work. So in the meantime, I'm just going to really enjoy the ride. I'm going to enjoy where I am today. I'm going to enjoy learning. And that's what I think of when I think about this idea of an innate obsession. Those kinds of things that you've just always had an inborn capacity to be really interested in. And painting isn't the only thing like that for me. Talking about psychology is one of them. Horses is one of them. There's something about those activities that I just keep coming back to them over and over and over. And that obsessive drive kind of takes the edge off any fear of failure. And the result of that is that I can really just lean in to this process of learning in a really big way. And that's why this idea resonated with me so strongly. It just made really intuitive sense that this would be a precursor to mastery for everybody. And that's what this painting for today's video is. It's me learning. It's me testing out a new composition, a higher key value structure, toying with the colors and the brushwork. So I want you to see what this looks like in action. And that's because when I talk to artists wanting help on their journey, I typically have one of three conversations. Either the artist is worried about whether they have the talent to make their dreams happen, they want a shortcut to painting like the masters, or they think that they just need to white-knuckle their way through putting in enough painting hours that they're going to achieve the effect they want with their work. And I think we collectively need a recalibration of our beliefs if we're going to push through that to reach our potential as painters. So to show you what I mean, I want to talk about the painters that I know or I'm friends with, or are just people that I really look up to. I'm thinking about painters like Lewis Carr, Alex Venezia, Kyle Ma, Jared Brady, and a multitude of others whom you probably follow or whose work you probably already know. These are painters who have won awards at Portrait Society, Oil Painters of America, and other premier national or even international competitions. As far as I know, neither myself nor any of my artist friends were born with any innate drawing skills, though we may have really enjoyed some kind of art from a young age. This was definitely what I know of my own art journey. I have a clear memory of a neighbor of mine who was a few years older than me showing me how to draw a doodle of a girl's face as a kid. I was probably, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And me wanting to burst into tears when she showed me how to do this because I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure out how to copy the marks that she put down on this page that wound up looking like a person. I didn't know how to just do any of this innately. But at the same time, I also loved drawing and coloring anyway. I had a book on drawing cats that I was always so excited to copy from. I have a memory of like taking this into art class as I think a kindergartner. And I have this cute little fish that I colored in preschool where I painstakingly filled the entire fish in with color on both sides because I was so enamored with this process of putting color down on the page. And I want to make it clear, I did not start out with some genius coloring or drawing ability. I just really liked it. It was always fun for me, such that I was willing to push through periods of frustration or failure to keep going. And I think this is actually where a lot of people get tripped up. They think that the lesson here is to push through periods where you aren't enjoying your craft. But if you're forcing yourself to do something you aren't really intrinsically rewarded by, you're probably headed toward burnout. This is why I talk so much on my channel about, 1, learning to love the process, and 2, figuring out what you enjoy most about painting so that we're getting in touch with your own ingrained desire to get you in the studio and reinforcing that. And this goes back once again to the artists that I know. We've had mentors who helped us at a key stage in our journey, but most of us were largely self-taught and we weren't given any magic secrets. Many of us started selling work not because we thought we were ready or someone gave us permission, but we just wound up taking on commissions or selling small paintings because it made sense at the time. In short, it wasn't handed to us. It wasn't talent. It wasn't a magic shortcut. It wasn't someone giving us permission and declaring us officially artists. Our work looked much the same as yours at one point on our journey, and we simply kept going because we loved it. So if you have one takeaway from this video, I want it to be this. Having a mindset of loving the process and learning to get lost in your craft is the most important hurdle in being able to, quote, reach your potential with your art. Not talent, not having a secret recipe for success, and not white-knuckling your way to the finish line. So I'd like to hear from you. What do you get really excited to get in the studio to paint? What kinds of painting exercises feel intrinsically rewarding? What can you get totally lost in? Or do you find it hard to step away from once you've started because it's so enthralling? And how do you get back in touch with that feeling if you're dealing with something like burnout? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to check out my video on achieving flow in your painting practice if you haven't done that already. In it, I share a lot about what helps me to get in this headspace so that we can compare notes. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
I hope this video helped you to stop worrying about talent and potential and instead focus on the mindset you need to reach your painting goals. If you'd like my help to get there, I have a link to my masterclass in the description. And until next time, happy painting.